Welcome to the Enable, Empower, and Engage People application. Our objective for this lesson is to apply the key E3 people concepts to your particular organization. Specifically, you'll identify workforce capabilities and capacity for each strategic goal, and you'll develop a communication plan for the major messages that are essential to achieving the strategy. We start with the workforce capability and capacity. Goals are just a dream if you don't have the people behind it to make it happen. And so the first step is to identify the strategic goals from the previous module. Once you've got the goal identified, what are the workforce capabilities needed to accomplish that goal? And what are the key capacity requirements for each capability? In other words, number two, the capability is what do we need people to be able to do? And in number three, the capacity is how many of those people with those skills do we need? So we need to answer both questions. Do we have enough of the right kind of people to accomplish our strategy? An example might be from the increase the top line revenue through increased repeat and referral business due to improved customer service, back from our systems example. The workforce capability that we need might be customer service reps with superior interpersonal and problem-solving skills under stressful conditions. And the analysis, maybe we just don't have the in-house ability to train these people. The capacity that we need is we need a total of about 450 customer reps at two different locations in two different countries. And we currently only have about 327 combined between the two locations. So you're going to want to do this same for every strategic goal. What are the workforce capability and capacity requirements, and where do you stand on those requirements? Steps to complete your own workforce worksheet. Download the workforce capability and capacity worksheet as usual from this website. And then for each strategic goal, identify the workforce capabilities and capacities that are needed and your current capability for the capabilities and the capacity. And then present that to your colleagues and your boss and subordinates and discuss it and get their input, and then take that and incorporate it back into your revised version of your worksheet. You're going to have several goals and quite a few potentially people requirements for each goal. So make multiple copies. There's only 3 rows on the worksheet to give you enough space, and make as many copies as you need. And then you're ready to move on for a communication plan. So the second part of this application lesson is developing a communication plan. It's one thing to have a strategy. It's another thing to know what kind of people you need and to develop those people. But part of enabling those people to work towards the strategy are good communication mechanisms that get the strategy out to the people and get it updated so that people know what to do, what's expected of them, and where we're all going. One way to do this is to develop a communication plan using the application worksheet that includes 5 key pieces of information for each message that you need to send out. So the first step is to identify the message or the type of message and include in this the purpose, key content elements, and maybe an expanded description. And once you've got the message, the next question is what medium or media you need to use and would be best for this message. And is it a one-way or a two-way medium or forum that you need? Then who's the best person to deliver this message? Where does it need to come from? And describe your rationale for choosing the particular people that you've identified in an expanded description. And then identify who the audience is. And sometimes you go back between the audience and the sender because as the audience changes, sometimes the sender might change. And so identify the audience, including the profile of the typical audience member. And you may have several types of audience members, and you may decide to have multiple forums or all hands meeting. And finally, how often do you need to deliver this message? Some messages are regularly scheduled and happen on a regular basis, and others are one-time events or ad hoc. So it just depends upon the particular situation. Some examples of these communication plan might be the messages, the overall strategy of the company, the meeting that you might find most appropriate, maybe an all hands meeting face to face. And the sender, the most appropriate person might be the CEO. And the audience is all the employees. So you're going to want to break out and think about who the different levels and types of audience members we're going to have. Some are going to be more familiar than others with the strategy and the particular topic. And finally, how often does it happen? And for strategy, sometimes it's an annual event, especially for face-to-face. But sometimes more often, it just really depends upon the dynamic nature of the organization and how often strategy is changing and being readdressed. Another message might be a strategy update. As you move throughout the year between the major strategy all hands meetings, you may do periodic updates. And those, you may choose a medium of teleconference for a whole variety of reasons, including convenience, the ability to record it, and the ability, cheaper price, don't have to travel and fly people around. CEO still might be the right sender for this, still all employees, but you may do this quarterly instead of once a year. There's times when you might want to communicate the operations plan. Oftentimes these are small group face-to-face meetings. Chief Operating Officer might be the person delivering this plan or communicating it. And the audience might be the value chain senior vice presidents and vice presidents. And this may be a weekly meeting that they have to recap and discuss what's going on in the coming week. There's also work plans, which are at lower levels with supervisors. Often small group face-to-face meetings might be the supervisor that delivers the work plan for the day or the week. And the audience are the direct reports to that supervisor. And this might be a daily occurrence. You may have a meeting as the shift begins. And so these are different examples of different messages with different mediums and senders, audiences, and frequencies. It may occasionally be important to communicate with employees about benefits updates and changes. Sometimes these are done through webinars or email. You may have an all-hands meeting. Could be the senior vice president of HR. Typically all applicable employees. So you may have multiple categories of employees, some that aren't part of the benefits changes. And oftentimes these are ad hoc. Whenever a change occurs, you schedule a meeting and give the update. So to complete your own communication plan, download the worksheet and go identify the different messages. And many times, if you go to the different departments and the corporate headquarters department that handles communications, that's a good place to start. They often have a list of things that are pretty typical that they do. And you're going to want to identify all the different types of communications that go on and the different mediums and relate those back to strategy. And so in the next module, you're going to be assessing both the capability and capacity and the communication plan. But before you do that, share this with your colleagues, boss, get their feedback. Oftentimes people know about communications and you'll identify gaps, and then incorporate that feedback back into your version. And then you're ready to go on to the next module and assess the E3 people activities, both from a capability, capacity, and a communication perspective. We'll see you there.